COVID-19 is definitely one of the biggest enemies for many people all around the world and in many aspects. It's a fact that one of its main affectations relates to mental health. Before the pandemic, many children and teenagers already suffered from mental illnesses, but COVID-19 triggered everything at 100%, affecting them mentally and physically.
How did the pandemic affected you physically and mentally?
Pandemic has affected all of us mentally and physically. Mentally because we haven't been with a lot of problems and we kind been stuck in our houses, and being with our parents not kind of a help like in this age. And physical because we haven't done the activities that we always do like before the pandemic. So I think nowadays we should think more about our mental health and our physical way.
Well, the pandemic affected me in a lot of ways, especially because it took away a lot of what I used to do. I used to be a very active person. I still am, but the pandemic took that a lot from me. So my mental state deteriorated as well as my physical part because I stopped doing exercise and taking care of myself as much as I used to. So, yeah.
The theme of the pandemic, I think it had two stages. The first, this stage where everyone, all the family were in their houses, and I think it was an excuse to share things with family. But later when the time was prolonged, when we stopped going outside, even when the parents started to go out and the only ones that kept staying in the house were children and teenagers, important consequences started to be visible, especially for the time they were spending in the house. From the physical part, yes, I think that the fact that they had stopped doing the activities they usually used to do, the fact they had left aside the routines of getting up, going to school, spending a lot of time there, doing sport in school and sometimes in the afternoon having different activities, sport ones, musical, artistic, etc. This body used to move and be active and become a really passive body.
In Latin America and the Caribbean, it is estimated that 15% of children and teenagers between the ages of 10 live with a diagnosed mental disorder. That's higher than the world average that used to be about 13%.
Now, after passing through POS pandemic, we see consequences in the emotional part because of the lack of interaction with friends. So, disorders start to appear, for example, eating disorders. Consequences of when we were in the house and we had the choice to eat, not to eat, to sleep, not to sleep. We didn't have a sleeping routine, so now the fact of returning to this routine is very difficult. There are also insomnia problems that can cause mood changes in teenagers. All of this that wasn't done during pandemic, all this routines, exercise, schedules returning to this activities end up being hard, and also start to feel depression and anxiety symptoms that in some way when being in the house wasn't so evident.
It's important to return to this activities little by little. Always with schools and close people taking care and helping to pass this kinds of situations. Remember, you are not alone.